Good day, my name is Ntabise Molejani. Today on Central News, we have an exclusive interview with Dr. Mokete Phele, who has just obtained his PhD in chemistry from the Vaal University of Technology, known as the true and the proud son of Municipality race in the Free State. His PhD highlights and addresses urgent issues in water pollution, and that seeks to address these issues in under-resourced communities such as rural and township communities, which often go without reliable, safe and drinking water. Besides his achievements, he also serves as a water services manager at the Ngwathe local municipality, dealing daily with challenges and realities of water service delivery, sanitation and technical infrastructure. Known to be raised in Paris, he has lived the challenges and in the experiences of many of the people of the Free State. Today, we will unpack the work that he has done, his research, the motivation behind it, and also his personal journey. So good day, Dr. Phele. Thank you for joining us today. Once again, congratulations on your achievement.
Thank you, Sister Ntabise, and good afternoon.
Thank you. So just to start on the conversation, you were born and raised in Municipality. And can you please tell us a bit about your childhood, and when did you first be aware of the challenges of water issues or water problems in the community, and what it is that motivated you to actually pursue a qualification in chemistry?
Okay. No, thank you, Sister Ntabise. I was born in 1985 in Paris. Schooling, I started at primary preschool. Those years they used to have a preschool. Then 1991 I started study at Mokete. Started my SSA before it was grade 1. From there it was until grade 4. From grade 5 I moved to Mabatu Higher School. Then from Mabatu I went to Bitlamo High School, where I studied maths and science. Then I completed my matric in 2002. Immediately after I completed my matric, I went to study BCom Economics at Vista University. But along the way, I decided to drop economics. Then I came back home as a dropout. 2004, I went to Vaal Tech that time. And then I studied non-destructive testing. Then I didn't do well in non-destructive testing for the first semester. Second semester, I decided to do analytical chemistry. But first this semester, I didn't do well also because of matric. I passed well, maths, I got distinction. But when I arrived at tertiary, maths was something difficult. So I didn't do well for the first year. So which means I had 2 years after completing my matric before I can stand on my feet. Then I started continuing with analytical chemistry until I completed analytical chemistry. After completing analytical chemistry, I studied BTech. Chemistry. After BTech, I did MTech. With MTech, remember, it's also part of the research. There, what we did, I was analyzing the pollution around the Vaal River from Vereeniging until Paris, where I was testing pesticides because of the Vaal River was contaminated with pesticides. So I had to use a macadamia nut shell to remove pesticides from water. That was the study that I did under masters. After I completed my masters, I continued with chemistry, doing the PhD level. I started registering PhD 2020. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I couldn't continue 2020-21. 2022, I went back to complete my PhD. So 2024, that's when I submitted my thesis for an external examiner to Mokete. 2024 November, the results came back that I've completed my PhD with a pass.
You have walked us through the journey of your primary schooling to high school and to tertiary level. What are some of the challenges or obstacles you came across, especially now in tertiary level postgraduate, and what did you do to overcome them? Okay.
The first one I'll start when I was doing BCom Economics. You know, one thing I've learned that as we were doing high school, there was this thing which is called guidance, which is we were not taught enough about outside high school. During those years, it was the time of President Thabo Mbeki. He was an economist. So as a child, I thought if you're an economist, you can work anywhere and then you can become anything. Then I decided to move from chemistry, and then I jumped to maths and science, and I jumped to economics. I saw a disaster there because of, I remember asking one lecture when we were going to write an exam. It was for business management, economics, and accounting. So I asked him, I didn't understand economics, I didn't understand accounting. So a day before exam, I went to him, I said, hey, I have a problem and I don't understand this thing. Then the lecturer said to me, he was a professor, but what you did is unbelievable. You can't move from chemistry, physics, and then jump to accounting at a tertiary level. You know, that day after I went out of that office, I left Vista. I came back home, I said, there's no need of me continue with this course. You know, one thing also, as I was doing a non-destructive testing, because those are the courses that I didn't complete. At tertiary, it's not easy like high school where you have a second option, where if you don't attend lectures, you will know. You must attend lecture rooms and then you will understand what is happening. So at tertiary it was nice. Sometimes we decided, no, I'm not going there. I won't attend. I will just see tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, you don't attend. Come exam, you are clueless. So those are the challenges that a person faced when I was at the tertiary, because of there's no one that will tell you go to class. Whether you attend to classes or not, you see it's your own. So those are the things that when I arrived at tertiary, I experienced problems.
We saw that your PhD work was supervised by Professor Tunzi Fanyana. And can you briefly walk us through, that support structure and that supervision in order for you now to complete your thesis and to have this achievement? What was that support structure that he gave? And as a supervisor, what can you attribute, your achievement to him?
Dr. Mutunzi is a remarkable person. I met him in 2011 when he was coming from University of Northwest. Then he arrived at VUT. That time I was doing my BTech, and then there was a project that I was doing. It has to do with petroleum. So the project that I was doing was to test for condensate. Like a condensate, they get it from the ocean, and then they take it to a refinery where they make petrol. So there were some oxy determinants that I was testing. So that's when I started the journey with him. He was assisting me through that project. Then I completed that project, and then while I was doing masters, then we decided, no, let's look at water, because we are seeing that the country is going to face challenges based on the studies in future regarding the water quality. That's when we continue with him. So he was a remarkable supervisor. And then even though I was doing PhD, we were fighting most of the time because of I will go to the laboratory and think that whatever I've received, the results I got is perfect. Then you will always say, go back to the lab, what you have is not what you were supposed to get. So it was up and down between myself and him, but he's a remarkable supervisor. He's always been there for me all along the journey from masters until PhD.
I want us to walk through your actual research work. Your thesis is titled Utilizing Magnetic Moringa Oleifera Potts Feldspar Clay Composite for Selected Pollutant Removal from Water. So, for our viewers and some people who don't understand, technical scientific words, can you briefly just explain the research that you did, your work, in layman terms, and also, what we mean when we talk about, composites and how they work, and all these terms and all these things that are involved within your research?
Okay. The research mostly it was we were looking at selected pollutants. Like I make example, I did a study on heavy metals or toxic metals, the one of lead, cadmium, and copper. Those are regarded as a heavy metals or toxic metals. We also look at ciprofloxacin, CIP. It's an antibiotic, so it also has some health effects. We looked at E. coli, even though I have not published a paper with E. coli. So those were the determinants that we were testing for polluting water. What we did, we took a natural material like a moringa, because of its properties. There are some papers that moringa have been tested that it can be equivalent for cleaning water somewhere in Africa. And also what we did, we decided, no, clay, let's also take clay, feldspar clay. We got it from Nigeria, even though we will have a lot of clays in South Africa. Even in South Africa, we still have feldspar clay. Moringa, we got it in Mokopane, in Limpopo. So what we did, we combined those two materials. Because of their physical capacity, the surface area is huge. They can act as a coagulant on removing pollutants from water. And then we got results, but we were not happy with results. That's when we decided it's a composite. Taking two materials and combining them, you made a composite. Then we decided, no man, let's also strengthen it with nanoparticles. So what we did, we took iron chloride and iron sulfate. We made nanoparticles out of it using a co-precipitation method. So out of that, what we did, we did a magnet. That magnet, you put it in water, you stir the water. What it does, even if the color of water is brown, it will absorb it and change the color to colorless. All other pollutants that you don't want in water, because of the surface area of the magnet, it will attract all those pollutants that you don't want in water. So it was what we were trying to prove. We did with each material. With Moringa, we got results. We saw when we add clay, we got results. When we add magnetic, we got results. So that's why at the end we are saying magnetic Moringa feldspar clay, because of we absorbed more than what those two components can absorb.
And you have mentioned right now that your work includes the removal of substances or heavy metals, yes, heavy metals and antibiotics. And so, like, what are some of the maybe environmental and health risks associated with these pollutants? And like, why is it so important, especially particularly the pollutant that you mentioned? You mentioned antibiotics, you also mentioned heavy metals. Why are those ones important, especially in the context of South Africa or the Free State? And as I mentioned, what are the environmental and health risks associated with them?
According to World Health Organization, toxic metals, the one that I was focusing on, they have a bad health effects or the risk. The first one is the kidney failure. It might, if you have more concentration in water, you will experience a kidney failure, cancer, arthritis, diarrhea, and high blood pressure. With CIP, you're having urinary infections, because most of CIP is being used by pregnant women. So if you consume more, you will have this challenge, those infections.
All right. And you also mentioned the use of combining Moringa and feldspar clay.
Yes.
Yes. Can you also just tell us, which are both natural materials, can you also just tell us, what are the benefits of combining these two materials over the already conventional, water treatment technologies that we have? And you also mentioned that, you retrieved it from other places as well. Locally, is it something that we can also outsource if now we were to implement part of your work in local communities in the Free State?
Yeah, remember with conventional treatment, it's expensive to use. Remember, to procure chemical, it's expensive. So with available natural materials, it's easy for them to, it's absorption. Now the in thing in research is absorption. We are trying to get away from conventional methods where it's expensive. So with these components, it's easy, they are environmental friendly, sustainable, and it's readily available. You don't even have to go far to fetch to have them, so that you can make your product out of them. So that's the advantage of it. It's cheap and available.
And Dr. Phele, as an seasoned academic, there's always, or there are sometimes gaps between actual research and application or implementation of research work. With your research, how far are these methods from being used in real water supply systems? For example, being used maybe in the Ngwathe local municipality or in municipalities in the Free State. What would need to happen for your research to be implemented? Would it be a funding thing or a piloting project? And how then can we move from saying this is the lab work and the published research work to actually the implementation and the application of the proposed water solutions that you have written in your work?
I will take you back to 2019 when we were having a problem of pollution from Val River. I think in Paris they were saying our water is, what it was the word that they were using, flying fish.
Oh.
Yeah, they were saying our water is flying fish, and then if you were looking at the Val River, there was a pollution from upstream. So it also affected our purification processes. So what we did that year, we used the same techniques that I was doing with my master's, activated carbon. We added activated carbon in our system in Paris so that we can absorb the smell that we were encountering during that time. So most of the time when we were optimizing our plant, we were using activated carbon. So we saw the results, it worked because we were heavily affected by the pollution from upstream. So practically you can also employ it on your water treatments. It's easy and it's cheap because if you add it, whatever that is in water, depending on the quantity, it can absorb whatever that is in water, whether you want smell, color of water, other pollutants that are not even mentioned in the study, it can be able to absorb it. So practically we have done it and we have seen it's working for Ngwathe.
And in your role as, currently you serve as a water services manager in the Ngwathe local municipality. With now your academic knowledge and your role, how does that now influence your everyday decisions when it comes to things like sanitation, water service delivery, and also infrastructure? How does the combination of the role that you play in your work and the knowledge of having this academic qualification influence the decisions that you make daily in your role?
To lead such a complex environment as like water, you need an educational background. I'll make an example if maybe I was clueless. During 2023, there was a cholera outbreak and Hamaskral was declared. Ngwathe was almost declared. So having engagement with those who were taking decisions that no, there's cholera in Ngwathe. If I didn't have an educational background, Ngwathe was supposed to be one of those institutions that was declared that there's cholera in our water, because there were reports that they have detected cholera in our system. But you need to argue with someone. Remember, in science, you need to convince someone, or someone must convince you that whatever they are saying we have is there. So the educational background personally did assist me, and it also assisted the institution because cholera was not declared in our municipality.
And your PhD achievement has been celebrated in the community and beyond by family, by community members, but also by your colleagues at the Ngwathe local municipality. The municipal manager, Dr. Mutamaha, personally congratulated you and said that your success shows that the municipality values education and technical expertise. How important has that institutional support been for you, and what does it mean for Ngwathe's future?
If you have to talk about Dr. Mutamaha as a leader, I don't hesitate to say it. He came to Ngwathe, changed the landscape of Ngwathe. And then one thing about him, he's someone who wants solutions. We don't tell him problems. He's a solution-oriented person. So his support, it means a lot in changing the institution itself, the water challenge that we are having. Through his support, we are seeing there's light at the end of the tunnel. Also, he attended a graduation with me. That shows that that's a leader.
And now I want us just to briefly talk about, given what you've seen, given your knowledge and your research fundings, what do you believe should be the strategic priorities of the government, local municipalities and the community in the Free State in order to improve the water quality and ensure that people have access to safe, affordable water?
Free State country-wise, if you look at the number of graduates, according to stats, they're saying we have 61 per million people graduating for PhD. or master's level. And then according to National Development Plan Strategy for 2030, they are intending for 100 per million people. So we don't have a lot of PhDs in the country. So that's where the government needs to invest mostly into our youth, encourage them to go and study. There's opportunities for doing masters, there's opportunity to doing PhDs. I remember while I was in the USA, I met one guy, he was from DRC. Then he said, no, he came to South Africa to do his PhD. Then I say, hey, you South Africans people are lazy. You know, us in Africa, if we want to go to, like most of them, they pass through South Africa, and South Africa opened doors for them to do postgraduate, postdoctorate in USA or Canada or any other countries. So he said there's a lot of opportunities. You study for free, but you guys don't have PhDs at the universities level. And also if you look at the institution, most of the lecturers currently, they are not from South Africa. So that shows that there's a lot of a gap for our South Africans to pursue going forward with PhDs. So that's where government needs to step in, also encourage the youth to study further so that the issue of water, whether it's water, roads or electricity, it can be resolved based on our kids or youth getting a knowledge from the university.
And in terms of your research, may you please tell us what are the next steps in terms of your research? Are you planning a pilot project or integrating it maybe with existing water treatment plants? What are the next steps?
Currently, we have a collaboration with one of the professors in California, but that one it's more into cancer. In the US, as I was there, they having the challenge with the cancer. Remember, here is HIV. That side is a cancer. So we are at the stage of taking a grass, and then because of we've seen cows, most of the time there's something that they benefit out of grass. So there's a challenge of a breast cancer. So there's that study that we are currently busy with to see what is that we can get out of the grass to cure breast cancer. Also, I'm at the stage of supervising. I have a student that I'm going to supervise for his PhD. There was a study that was done by one professor in the University of Northwest, the ARVs. He did some tests, a study in Northwest, Gauteng and Free State, where he detected that for the water that we are drinking, there's ARVs. Because of our conventional plants they were not designed to remove ARVs from water. So from real water, they did find out there's a trace of ARVs in those water. So we are going to have a study to see how we can remove those ARVs. And also we're going to have a study, remember, I don't want to be personal, but there's this thing, when people consume ARVs, there's a shape of a stomach that is happening, we are seeing it. So even though we are not drinking, we are not consuming them, we think, we're not sure. Remember, with a study, you think, and then you have to prove it. So we are just going to touch on that part to see whether if we consume water, our stomach, is it caused by the certain trace of ARVs or what? But that one will prove it once the study has been completed.
And in terms of the work that you have done, how would you know that you have made a difference in terms of real matrix? Is there a way maybe or a plan that you have underway to measure that, you know, the work that I've done maybe has created fewer waterborne diseases, or maybe it has improved infrastructure? Like, what real matrix are you going to use to say that the work that I've done has actually made a difference, whether in communities, whether in the academic sector, or in any other area? Currently,
we have data available, and then what I did, I've under my name, I have 10 publications that have been published in the accredited journals internationally. So our target now is to target the rural areas and some of the developing countries like us in Africa. We have collaboration with some of the guys where we are going to sell the technology. Remember, now you need to sell your technology. You can't just study and then just leave it as it is. So one of the things, when we go outside of the country, we sell the idea. It's unfortunately when you go to Europe, like England, when I was there, Turkey, and those Caribbean countries, they are more advanced, like compared to us. So you can't target Europe because of the challenges that we are having with water. They don't have there. You can even look at their rivers. You can even see at the bottom, even if a fish passes, you can see. So we are targeting Africa. There's a country where we have met with some of the professors so that we can market our product into that country. Also, there's a province in the country where we are trying to get something out of that province, because we have seen that there's a need of water challenges. Even here in Paris, we still have a challenge of water issues, but that one we are addressing it with a project that is currently happening at our municipality. It's different compared to other provinces, the challenge of Paris, because of this one of Paris we have a river, we do have a plant which is currently under refurbishment. When the plant is completed, we will have a clean and reliable water for Tumaul in Paris.
And what message would you have for a young person who's going to be watching us, who wants to follow a similar path, and maybe they have, obstacles or challenges that they are facing, whether it's in Tumahole, the Free State, South Africa, or beyond? What message would you have for somebody who has an interest in science and is watching you right now, explaining your research, and they also want to come up with solutions in order to help their communities?
I think with the youth, they must go to, after completing matric, it's not like in the past, tertiary is free. They must look for those doors and then go and study at tertiary, whether it's a technical college, whether it's a University of Technology, whether it's a university. They must go and study. There's a lot of opportunities, funding is there for them to study. But one thing is that they must never give up. Like myself, for 2 years, I struggled for 2 years. The third year, that's when I managed to, my career started to kick in. So same as them, they must never give up. It's not an easy thing that you will go to university for 3 years and come back. It's not an easy route, but they must never give up on following their dreams.
And finally, on a more personal note, to somebody watching this who is inspired, our viewers would want to know, who is Dr. Phele? What are some of the values that you live by, and what keeps you grounded?
With myself, I'm an antisocial person. I can't say much about social life, that I go out party, but I do go out. Most of the time, I spend my weekends at going to church, studying. Yeah, I don't have. I'm an antisocial. I don't know whether it's an introvert or what they call that. Yeah, I'm that kind of a person. So that's what myself killing that day.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Phele, for your time, for sharing your personal journey. Your educational journey from primary school, postgrad, for sharing your work with us, for sharing your plans with us. I think it's very important because your story shows a personal journey, knowledge, but also the application of doing that in your own work. So we wish you the very best with your future endeavors, and may you continue to serve the community, and may your work impact communities and also South Africa. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Assistant Typesy.